Hey y'all, and welcome to The Cutest Little Thing. My name is Andrea, and I'm so glad to have you here today. I'm from southeastern North Carolina, and I love all things vintage, thrifted, upcycled, and DIY'd, and you will find all of those things here on my channel. I also have 2 vendor booths in my local small town where I sell my crafts and decor pieces. I'm so excited for today's project, so let's go ahead and get started. This project starts out with a cutting board from Hobby Lobby. I'm going in with the color burlap in the Dixie Belle, and let me just say that I love the way this cutting board looks. I love the wood grain look of this, and normally I would not have painted it, but for this project today I needed a cutting board and I wanted to use this color, and this was the only one that I had in my stash that was available. But I do love this color in the Dixie Belle, so I went in with a full coat all over, let that dry completely, and then went in with a second coat. After that dried completely, I did go in with a piece of sandpaper and just lightly went over the entire board, distressing it a bit, letting some of that natural wood come through. I love that look, but if you don't like that look, just skip this part and leave it, the painted color. After I got the look I was going for, I grabbed this label. Now, I got this label off of an Etsy shop. I can't remember the name of the shop exactly, but the link will be in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. And I went in with my Mod Podge and put on the back of the paper. I did print this label at home on my regular inkjet printer with regular computer paper, but you could use you could print on rice paper or tissue paper. There are different ways that you can do that using your at-home printer, but I just used the regular paper this time, and I smoothed it on. Make sure you get it nice and level and even on all sides. Then just go in and smooth out any creases or wrinkles that try to form. You can take a balled up piece of saran wrap and carefully rub over your piece, helping those wrinkles out as well. And that's what I'm doing here. And you can also apply heat while you do this, and that helps your paper adhere to your surface as well as heat set the ink in your paper. Once I got my paper on, I decided to distress it just a little bit more around the edges of that paper and on that handle. But you can do that as much or as little as you would like, depending on the look you're trying to go for. And I did want to embellish my cutting board with a bow, so I'm taking my Jubilee homespun fabric. I love this stuff. You can order directly from their website. You can also find it on Amazon or Walmart.com. And I normally order the jelly rolls, and then you can rip that into strips. And I use my bow dabra to loop through until I get the bow the size that I want. And I embellish this one with some of those little mini rusty bells. I get those off of Amazon as well. Trim it up to your liking, and I just put a dab of hot glue on the back of that bow and hot glue it right to the base of that handle on that cutting board. Trimmed up those tails just a little bit so it wouldn't cover too much of my label there with my cowl. And I did want to go in with some wax. I decided to go with my DIY dark wax. And I just took my finger and rubbed around that label all the way around. And I did rub it on the paper label just a little bit. I love using waxes to create more of a vintage look and more of a distressed look. And there's the look we have now. It kind of blends that paper label into the cutting board. Now, I did want to make this reversible as well, so I flipped it over to the other side, and I took this coffee stencil that I got off of Amazon. It came in a pack with several other stencils. And I took the color Caviar in the Dixie Belle, and this is a chalk paint. I took my stencil brush, and with stenciling, I just hold my stencil in place with one hand very tightly while I stencil, and I'll either do a swirling motion or I'll dab my stencil brush But you can also tape down your stencil with some painter's tape if you aren't comfortable just holding it in place while you stencil. And I usually do one full coat and then go back over and do a second coat with the stenciling. And there it is. I love this stencil. I think it is so pretty. I give this a good dry. And you can take a really small brush and go in and fill in your bridges. And all that is filling in the gaps. I'm doing it here. I'm just taking a really small paintbrush, and you just need a little bit of paint on your brush. And you just go in and fill in those areas where your stencil is being held together, so it kind of creates gaps in the letters. And sometimes I leave it and sometimes I cover it up. Again, it's just your preference on how you would rather it look. And I took some of that Jubilee homespun fabric and created another bow for the other side. And I embellished it with a button. And I didn't quite make it as big as I made the bow on the other side, just so that it wouldn't be so big and bulky if you had your cutting board displayed on the other side. And just hot glue that right to the base of that handle, and you can trim it up as you would like. I love how this turned out, and y'all know how I love making reversible decor. I just think it gives you more options in your decorating, and you don't have to have as much space for storing your decor pieces. And I did decide to add some little half wooden beads, and I stained them with some wax, and then I just hot glued them right in place. I put the 2 down at the bottom and then 2 at the top, and just kind of put them in the corners of my paper label, and I just thought that added a cute touch. Now we're ready to start creating our bundle basket. This basket I picked up at my local Goodwill, and I put in the base of it a piece of drop cloth fabric. And then I had some other items that I've already upcycled, like this shovel here came from the Dollar General, and I did a rusty crusty technique on it and added a cute little bow. And then this picture here, it was a thrifted find as well, and I did the grubby technique. I've got a couple of YouTube video tutorials on the grubby technique and the rusty technique, as well as I have some Facebook videos as well. If you want to head over to Facebook, make sure you're giving me a follow there as well. And then I have this loaf of faux bread, and I have a tutorial on that as well. And all that is the foam spray that you get to seal up cracks and gaps in your house. You can find it at any like Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, and you get the 1 to 3 inch foam spray, and you just spray it in your container, let it sit overnight, and then you paint it and add some cinnamon. And that's how I did my faux bread. I wanted to add a little bow to the handle on the basket, and I'm adding a tag. This beaded wooden tag I got from Hobby Lobby. They came in a pack at Hobby Lobby, and then this cow stamp came from Temu. I've had it a while. It came with some other farm animals, and I just wanted to simply stamp that cow head on that wooden tag. And look how cute that is. And I'm going to add this to my bow and add this to the handle of the basket. And look how cute this turned out. I love making these Farmhouse bundle baskets. It is a great way to display lots of little items together in a vignette for your farmhouse decor. And you can just add so many things together, and it is the cutest little thing. And our cutting board in there, we can have it on the Farm Fresh Milk side and then flip it over to the coffee bar sign. So the possibilities are endless with these. Y'all let me know what you think. I hope that you are enjoying today's content. If you are and you're not already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will consider before you leave today, hit that notification bell. Be sure you are receiving all notifications. I would love for you to become part of our YouTube family. Okay, let's get back to the DIYs. For this project, I grabbed this basket out of my stash. I originally picked it up from Goodwill. It has this cute little hand-painted design on the front, and I didn't want to paint over that, but I did want to change it up and add another label. So I took this paper. This is some paper that I purchased from Susie on the farm. I think it's Roy Cycle paper, but I'm not 100% sure. And I took a piece of muslin fabric and I cut it to the size that I needed it for the front of my basket. Well, I kind of will cut a little piece and then I'll rip it. I like to rip my muslin fabric because I like that torn frayed edge. And I laid it over the paper so that I could take some water and a paintbrush and go over the section that I needed to tear my paper. That's just kind of how I outlined it, to see where I needed to tear it. And after you wet your paper, it tears so easily. So I just tore right along where I wet that paper. Now we are ready to Mod Podge it right onto our fabric. So I took some Mod Podge matte and just brushed that on the back of my label. And you want to be sure you completely coat it all the way to the edges, because if you don't completely coat it with your Mod Podge, you may have bubbles or it's just not going to adhere where you don't have your Mod Podge. Then I just lay that paper right down on the muslin fabric and you just want to smooth it out. I kind of work from the inside out and smooth all those wrinkles out, as many as I can. And I'll take a piece of Saran wrap, or in this case, I just had a little baggie in my craft room close by that I grabbed. And that just kind of helps. It's gentle on your paper, especially this type of paper. It's thin. It's almost like a tissue paper. And I'm applying a little bit of heat here while I'm doing that. And that's just helping that paper adhere, because it's heating that Mod Podge and helping it kind of spread underneath that paper and getting those wrinkles and bubbles out as well. And I just attached that fabric right to the front of that basket with my hot glue, and that way I weren't painting over what someone had hand painted. I just would really feel bad about that. And you could remove this label, this fabric label, at any time if you wanted to. Just heat that hot glue back up and it would pull right away from your basket. And look how cute that is already. Now, you know we have to make a bow, so I grabbed my bow dabra and my jelly roll in the Jubilee homespun fabric. And I do like to rip those pieces. I'll just cut a little section and then I will rip it. I love ripping fabric. And you just place your pieces of fabric in your bow dabra. I'll just make a few loops. And I'll alternate my colors and my designs, my different designs of fabric. And I usually like to use at least 3 different patterns and colors, of course, that go together and pair well together. But I at least like to use 3 different kinds. Once I get all my pieces of fabric in there, I will gently pull up on that jute string, give it a double knot where it will hold well. I got it adjusted and hot glued it right to the corner of that basket, just kind of right at the corner of that label. And then I wanted to embellish that bow in the center with a little jute string bow. I love to do that. I just think it adds the cutest little touch to just tie a piece of jute string in a shoestring bow and hot glue it to the center of your bow. I wanted this to be able to hang somewhere, so I have some floral wire that I get from Amazon, and I will link that in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, just comment and I will gladly share any links with you. But I just went in the back of the basket on each side. I just kind of fed it through, and then I wrapped it around and around that wire. This wire is very durable. I like using this wire to make those cute little salt and pepper tassels that I make. And it's really durable. You could kind of layer it up for a stronger hold. Next, I grabbed this cabinet door that I had in my stash, and I had recently painted this with milk paint. in the color window pane. And then I had this cute little knob that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. And I wanted to show you a little bit of the process of painting this door. Look at all that beautiful crackle. What I did, I would paint a layer of the milk paint, and then I would take my heat gun and hold it closely. And when you apply that heat to your milk paint, you will increase the crackling and the chipping, if you get chipping on your piece, with that heat. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of that process of me doing that. And again, this color is the color window pane, and I did do 2 coats of it on this cabinet door. But look at that beautiful cracking that we're getting. Now it's time to fill our basket with some goodies. So I grabbed these, a couple of egg beaters that I had, and just tied them together with a little piece of ribbon. And next I'm just adding some paper here for some filler, just to take up some of the room in the bottom of that basket. And we're going to be using Spanish moss. I like to lay a piece of either muslin fabric or drop cloth over my filler before I put moss, because that just kind of keeps that moss from being so messy and falling down to the bottom of your basket or your container, whatever you're using. Next, I put just a little piece of burlap material that I had. I just kind of tucked it in the front there just to add another texture and another variation of color. And this is some lamb's ear I'm poking in the front here. I get my lamb's ear from Amazon. You can get a bulk box of it. And this greenery is some, well, I get this from Amazon as well. I was thinking this was the one I got from Walmart. But it comes in a garland form. It's the eucalyptus garland from Amazon. But you can cut it and pick it apart how you need to use in your projects. I really love it. And these pieces of wheat, this dried wheat, you'll never guess where I get it. I get it from Amazon too. It comes in a bulk box as well, and I just kind of trim. It has long stalks on it, so I'll just trim those up, and you can just pinch it right with your fingernail. It's not hard at all. You don't even need wire cutters. You don't even need scissors. So I put a few sprigs of that in there, and then I stuck the egg beaters in. I just thought they were a cute touch because our label was the butter, and I know those are egg beaters, but you could still use them to for butter too. And one of those is a vintage one that I got from an online sale from Vintage Junkies Decor. She has a Facebook page. If you want to go check her out, please show her some love and give her a follow over there on Facebook. Then I added a cute little mini basket in the front. I got a bunch of those mini baskets from a lady from Marketplace. And then this cute little cow sign with the word milk on there came from my Dollar General. They had the cow, the chicken, and the pig, and they were $1 each. So look how cute this turned out. And then I put a nail in the cabinet door and then hung the basket from the wire on the cabinet door. And y'all, I just love this. It was a little hard to take pictures of and record because it was such a long piece. But these cabinet doors came from my mom's farmhouse, old farmhouse. So I love this piece so much. And the possibilities are endless with these, the different ways that you can do them. Let me know what you think. All right, here's those projects staged up for you one last time. I thank you all so much for spending some time on my channel today watching this video. I hope you love these projects. Let me know in the comments what you think. And let me know where you're watching from if you're new to my channel. And don't forget, you can head over to Facebook as well and give me a follow there. I normally go live, do some live crafting each week, 2 to 3 times a week, as well as have live auction sales every 4 to 6 weeks. So I would love to have you join me over there as well. And don't forget, I am a retailer of the Sweet Pickins milk paint, and you can contact me over on my Facebook page. Just send me a message over there. I have the paint chart pinned to the top of my page where you can see all the colors. all of 60 colors that the Sweet Pickins offers. Send me a message. I keep the $7 packs in stock and ready to ship to your door. I am also an affiliate for Digital Deco Designs. I have my affiliate link pinned to the top of my Facebook page as well, and I will put that in the description of today's video for you too. Have a blessed rest of your week, friends, and I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.